How you doing? It's Colin Daniel here from riffninja.com, and this lesson is all about answering a question for one of my students. His name is PJ. PJ asked a good question. How do I know what note to play first on a lead? Ooh. Well, a lot depends on the chord progression, but your for sure note for this, your for sure note would have to be the tonic. The root note, the tonic note of whatever key you're in. That'd be your best bet. That's your best bet for beginning and end. Right after that, you could go to your 1, 4, and 5. It depends on the song. It depends on the effect you want to gain from the song. As a matter of fact, you could play any of the notes out of the chord of the root note. Say, for example, say we're in E major. Well, some good notes to start on might be the E, which is in the chord. Now, it depends on the key again, because what PJ asked me, another question right after that, and that was in the chord progression E, D, and A. And that presents a bit of an issue too, because it's a bit of a trick to what key you're in. But let's say we started in a standard key, like A minor, you know. In A minor, in Stairway to Heaven, the arpeggio, you know, starts on the A. Those first 4 notes, right? Which is right out of the A chord, right? It's right out of the scale, right? You can find those notes in the scale. So any of those notes would work for a starting point in A minor, an A, C, or an E, right? Because there's your A, C, and there's your E, and there's another repeat for the A if you like. I mean, I wouldn't play them that clinical, but yeah, you could start it. Just have to find the note in your scale. A sure bet is definitely the tonic. Now, to further answer that question, how would I answer that question now? For, like, say this E, D, and A, this is a bit tricky, because I'm not too sure whether your problem is you don't understand this key, because this is a trick. Now, I do go into a deep lesson on my Riff Ninja site on that, and I'll direct you to that in a minute. But here's the deal. Even though you're playing E, D, and A, and you really should know your 1, 4s, and 5s, because that'll help you identify the key. Because you definitely have to identify the key before you know what note to start on. Say, for example, like Sweet Home Alabama, you know, it starts on a D. But it's not in the key of D, and that's a common mistake. Because I've worked in bands, and they've called out the song, like they'll go, do you know Sweet Home Alabama? And I'll go, sure. And then I'll go, what key? And they'll go, well, the key of D. And I go, you mean it starts in the key of D? And they go, yeah, it's in the key of D. I go, no, it's not in the key of D. It's in the key of G major. It's a 5-4-1 progression, right? You know, you could start that one on a D. But you have to know what the scale is. See, I'd play the relative minor E pentatonic minor scale and start on a D. But really, to end this song, to end the solo, you don't want to end on a D. You want to end on the G, because that's the key it's in, right? So because the chord progression starts on a D, I might start on that D note. But trust me, to end this progression, you know, if you listen to this, you got half a bar of D, half a bar of C, and a full bar of G, right? G is the strong chord. It's the force in it. And if you want to resolve it, you resolve it on the G, not on the D. See, if you hit the D after you do the D, C, G progression, it doesn't feel like it's ended. That's not as good as... Feels like you've resolved it once you hit that G, because that's the key it's in, right? So it's not always true that the chord you start with is the key note, but a good portion of the time it is. Now back to this E, D, A. It's actually technically in the key of E pentatonic minor, not E diatonic minor, E pentatonic minor. Yeah, even though they're major chords, you're still playing a minor bass. And for that progression, because I think he was referring to Gloria, but there's a bunch of songs that use that. There's The Last Time by the Rolling Stones. There's The Who. Can't Explain. All those songs work off the same E, D, A progression, and they all use the same piece of theory to solo. The theory is that even though you're playing major chords, and this is actually a 5-4-1 chord progression in the key of A major, right? Because E is 5, D is 4, and A is 1. But the A isn't the focal point in this progression, it's the E. You know, in Can't Explain, it starts on an E, ends on the E. In Gloria, it's a full bar of E, 1, 2, or half bar of E, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and quarter notes, depending on how you count it. You could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, A. Like in the last time, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Either way, however way you count it, the E is still more prominent than the D and the A, and it keeps cycling back to the E. So that's technically in the key of E pentatonic minor, because the E becomes the tonic, the D acts as the flat at 7, which is a minor 7, and the A is neutral, it's the 4, right? So you solo in E pentatonic minor, not diatonic minor. Now I'd like to do some 2-guitar jam lessons, some more on my members site. I haven't gotten to that yet, but I do have some theory that I've discussed that'll make this more clear for you, any of you that would like, including PJ. And it's titled The Big Question, and it's about the key that this is in and why. And by all means, check out my site. You can get a free 3-day membership out of the deal and check out that lesson if that's what you need to solve your problem as a musician. That's where the real serious lessons happen, because I have more time to do them, more time to explain them and go through step to do that. But other than that, I hope that kind of gave you some insight into what to do. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you soon.